Good morning. Good morning, and welcome to the Ventura Center for Spiritual Living live stream. It's great to have you here, whether you're at home in your pajamas or whether you're one of the few people sitting in our sanctuary. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. And I'm going to pass it over to our board president, Lonnie Cassidy.
Good morning. So glad you can join us. What a special day. I know so much going on, but I'm so thankful that you're taking your time to be a part of this through Facebook, through in-person, and through YouTube. Just know that we love you and we're supporting you, and we have a special morning.
But I also want to let folks know, since this is about children, last week, Mary Kerrigan, who is the program director for Step Up Ventura, which is an organization that assists children that are impacted by homelessness, she gave an impassioned plea for a fundraiser for them so that they could have a nice Christmas, the children and their families. And we had a target goal of raising $500 for Step Up Ventura. And this just in, we've raised over $1,600 for them. And I'd like Mary to come up here. So I can present her with, here it comes. Well, actually, I should probably present a check here. You can spray it. Thank you, Mary. So thank you so much to everybody who donated, everybody who's here, and those that are at home. You just know in your hearts that you are making Christmas, the holiday season, for a lot of children and their families very special. Thank you so much. And with that being said, I'm going to invite Lita, our practitioner, to come forward and pray us in.
Good morning, everyone. Before we do prayer together, I wanted to take a moment to dedicate our flower arrangement today to our lovely Bonnie Rose.
Really?
This is from the whole congregation for being such a leader in this time of challenge. As the flowers are so beautiful, you have a beauty that shines and that lights our way. So thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you. Thank you.
So please join me in the sacred act of prayer. Any practitioners or ministers, please stand. Everyone else can place your hands on your heart. How grateful I am to go into that sacred space within, to connect to the divine light that radiates from my very being and from everyone's very being. I call and command this light to grow, to expand, to fill the sanctuary, to fill our bodies, to fill our minds, to fill our actions, to fill all we do, so that everything that we touch is filled with this light. How grateful I am for the light that shines our way in the darkness, in the uncertainty, the light that illumines our hearts, that illumines our activities, that illumines our service. So grateful for Michael Esselin, for Becca, for everyone here that's putting together a beautiful service to uplift us, to allow that light that's within to be so much more radiant and brilliant. So grateful for everyone participating today, whether at home, on YouTube, or here in this sanctuary. So grateful for the light and love that we all are. And with a full heart, I release my words to the mystery, knowing it is done, it is perfect, it is complete. And together we say, and so it is.
And so it is, and so we allow it to be. Let us breathe deeply and center into the depth of our being as we inhale and exhale, allowing ourselves to relax and opening our hearts to listen to the words of our sacred reading.
A meditation from our guest speaker, Michael Esselin. I invite you now perhaps to close your eyes. Let's take a few nice deep breaths together. Breathing in the love, the intention, the commitment of this community to come together and to connect despite all that there is now to separate us physically. And as we exhale, can we release the light and the radiance of our coming together, not only back to each other, but to the larger circles of life? Let's even stretch out our arms right now, right where you are sitting, and imagine our embrace of each other and of those larger circles of life. Getting a sense of our connectedness in a place beyond time and space, despite the physical isolation of this moment. And as we breathe into that embrace, let's absorb in the words of the poet Rilke as a blessing to ourselves. Be patient towards all that is unresolved in your heart. Try to love the questions themselves, like locked rooms and like books written in a very foreign tongue. Do not seek the answers, which cannot be given to you because you would not be able to live them. Live the questions now. Perhaps you will then gradually, without noticing it, live along some distant day into the answer. And so it is.
And so it is. And so, remaining in the sweetness of the question, in the mystery that we speak of so lovingly in this center, the mystery that holds all things, that bears all things, that believes all things, and knowing that we belong to the mystery as we belong to the beloved, let us breathe in deeply and then exhale, opening our eyes in love and in service to what is, as it is, and so it is.
Chestnuts roasting on an open fire, Jack Frost nipping at your nose, Yuletide carols being sung by a choir, and folks dressed up like Eskimos. Everybody knows a turkey and some mistletoe helps to make the season bright. Tiny tots with their eyes all aglow will find it hard to sleep tonight. They know that Santa's on his way. He's loaded lots of toys and goodies on his sleigh, and every mother's child is gonna spy to see if reindeer really know how to fly. And so I'm offering this simple phrase to kids from 1 to 92. Although it's been said many times, many ways, Merry Christmas to you. They know that Santa's on his way. He's loaded lots of toys and goodies on his sleigh, and every mother's child is gonna spy to see if reindeer really know how to fly. And so I'm offering
All right, so thank you, by the way. Thank you, Becca and Chris, beautiful. It's my honor right now to introduce our guest speaker. This is Michael Eselen, who serves as the chaplain for the Simms-Mann UCLA Center for Integrative Oncology. He's a two-time TEDx speaker. Michael speaks extensively to healthcare professionals, patient populations, and faith communities across the country. He's also worked as an activist educator, addressing anti-LGBTQ bias in the larger community for over 30 years. Michael was recently inducted into the UCLA Semel Institute. Eudaimonia, what? Eudaimonia? What's that? Okay. Anyway, society, in recognition of having lived a meaning-driven life. He has 4 volumes of CDs that are available for purchase, and you can contact Michael through his website, www.michaelesselin.com. Let's all, whether you're home or whether you're here, join our hands together in welcoming our guest speaker, Michael Esselin. Thank you.
Oops, there. Get all situated here. Thank you. And thank you for the opportunity to return here. In this time of the pandemic, it seems we are all deluged with dozens of unanswerable questions, each one competing for our all too limited attention and capacity to focus. How long is this going to last? How are we going to make it financially? How are we going to keep ourselves safe? How do we live with this kind of uncertainty? As we vacillate between one question or another, whichever happens to be working us over at any particular moment, there might in fact be one question that lies beneath all the others. What matters? As you know, I serve as an oncology chaplain at UCLA, and last year, a year ago, as a part of the UCLA Centennial, I was invited on behalf of the UCLA Department of Arts and Architecture to be a presenter at their special 10 Questions event, the Centennial Edition. A series of 10 evenings, each one devoted to one particular question for our life and times, each one explored by a multidisciplinary panel of 3. When I told my husband, Scott, about this honor of having been invited, he of course asked me, "What's your question?" "What matters?" I said. "Oh, everything and nothing," he said, and then he left the room. Pithy, yes, but also kind of true in a way. Everything matters and nothing matters. Our own individual lives, such as they are in this moment, are in fact a culmination of countless decisions we have made, choices we have made, both large and small, over the course of our lives, each one informed and shaped by our idea at the time of what mattered. Do I marry this person or not? Do I live in this city or not? Do I pursue this career or not? Or on a whole other scale, do I buy this new pair of shoes or save my money? Do I eat that last piece of chocolate cake or let it pass me by? Each decision is shaped by our idea at the time of what matters. On a national scale, we only have to look as recently as a year ago at our Democratic national primary debates to get a cross-section of what matters. Day 1 of my presidency, we're going to be addressing climate change. No, day 1 for me is healthcare reform. Day 1 for me, it's cleaning up the corruption in Washington or the catastrophe that's happened at our southern border. And it all matters. But look at what happened in the span of very few months. All of that had been trumped, you should pardon the expression, by the COVID-19 pandemic. Does it mean that all that stuff doesn't matter anymore? Of course not. It just means that this matters more right now. On a whole other scale, do you know what else matters? That you get home safely from the service this morning or from the next trip to the supermarket, or that we have enough cat food that Rupert's been fed, or that I have milk for my oatmeal tomorrow morning. Ultimately, I think what matters is this very moment, the thing that's right in front of us. I remember in the early 80s reading a magazine interview with Rosalind Carter. This would have been not long before she and Jimmy had moved back to their home in Plains, Georgia, leaving the White House. At the time of the interview, she was busily engaged in laying a new brick pathway up to the front stoop of their house. She commented to the interviewer with some astonishment to reflect that just a few months earlier, she and Jimmy had been living in the White House, hosting state dinners, Camp David Peace Accord, all of that. And now the most important thing in the world is that this brick is straight. And it matters, she said. Though I was such a young man, I was so struck by the profundity of that, so much so that it still sticks with me 40 years later. It's kind of Zen-like, isn't it? Around the same time, I remember taking some kind of self-development seminar or another, after all it was the 80s, in which we were given the task of writing our own epitaph. Now, if you've never tried it, it can be a daunting exercise, but also illuminating. It becomes even more daunting when we have to do it for real. My mom died a year ago, April, and there's only so much room on those little bronze plaques. Which few words are you going to choose to summarize, to encapsulate an entire human life? What I chose for myself in my 20s was, he was moved by life. I think what matters is really quite fluid and changeable over the course of a lifetime, maybe even over the course of an afternoon. What mattered to me at 25 is not what mattered to me at 45, which bears little resemblance to what mattered to me at 65. I think in the first half of life, we're so consumed with pursuing our goals, accomplishing something, achieving success, as if we have the vaguest idea what that really means. Second half of life, I find, is a different story, but one inescapable truth for all but precious few of us is that a couple of generations from now, no one will know or remember or care that you even walked the earth. So given that reality, what matters? I have to come back to Rosalind Carter, that the bricks are straight. And yes, while I'm focusing on this brick in front of me, I have to be mindful and attuned to all these overwhelming problems that plague our planet. But when it comes time for me to take my last breath, what will I say matters then? In my role as an oncology chaplain, I would say I'm sort of in the coming out business. I'm creating a safe space for people to come out to me, to tell me their truth, often their deepest truth, and often at the most critical time of their lives, at the end of it. But the way I see it, it's not only a coming out business, it's also a meaning-making business, because once that truth is out there on the table, how do we contain it? How do we hold it? How do we make sense of it? That's part of the gift and exhilaration of being able to do this work. Every day I get that constant reminder, Michael, pay attention, particularly as I move well into the third act of my life. When I reflect back on Acts 1 and 2, I realize how seldom it was that I was ever focused on the brick in front of me. I always had my eye around the corner to the next brick, the next decision. How does this one affect that one? What school do I go to? What class do I take? What do I major in? Which career do I pursue? Which relationships do I nurture to get me closer to wherever it is I think I want to go, the thing that I think is going to make me happy? And of course, that's still kind of true in a way, but maybe with less urgency. But maybe with even more urgency, because at this stage of my life, the big what's next is the final reckoning, the home stretch. So when it comes time for me to take my last breath, what will I say matters then? There are, of course, as many answers to that question as there are individuals on the planet, and yet I do hear common themes from folks who wrestle with that very question before deciding whether or not to sign up for guaranteed more suffering with the next chemo, the next drug trial, the next surgery. What is it that makes life worth fighting for? Well, I'd like to live long enough to see my son graduate high school or college. I'd like to live to see my daughter get married. I'd like to see my grandchildren be born. Still, I find those to be deceptively simple and tidy answers, seldom revealing the whole picture. Many years ago, I worked on the inpatient bone marrow transplant unit at UCLA, lymphoma and leukemia patients mostly, who often spend many weeks, if not months, in the hospital. And there I met Leon, who was a difficult, prickly guy, not at all likable. In all of his weeks in the hospital, I never saw that he had a single visitor, and he was sort of proud of that. "I don't need anybody," he would say. He had his own business, and he had a dog who scared the neighbors. Leon identified as an atheist, a secular Jew, and he presumed I was religious and a Christian, neither of which are true. But he used to enjoy duking it out with me, philosophically speaking. So that was the nature of our spiritual conversations. My kind of spiritual care was engaging in these theological discussions. Once he got his transplant, things went south very quickly, and the doctors came in with that awful assessment: nothing more we can do. Well, then the heart began to soften and the tears came, of course, but the very next day the docs came in and said, "Wait, Leon, we think you might qualify for this new drug trial." Oh, his spirits went through the roof, mine too. "This is great news, Leon. Tell me, what are you going to do with more time if you get it? I really wanted to know." "I'd like to finish my invoicing," he said. My heart just sank. In total judgment, I admit. I was not a good chaplain in that moment. I did not ask the next obvious question. "Oh, that's interesting. Tell me, why is it that your invoices mean so much to you?" No, I just sat there in stunned silence. I guess I was hoping he'd say, "I'd like to walk my dog on the beach one more time. I'd like to see one more beautiful sunset. I'd like to hear Rhapsody in Blue one more time." "No," he said, "I'd like to finish my invoicing." That's where he found his meaning. That's what mattered. Mary Ann, in her 40s, had lived the previous several years with pancreatic cancer, and I walked the last few months of her journey by her side. Not long before she died, I went to see her in the hospital, and she was hooked up to every kind of tube and pump and hose imaginable, absolutely fried, just cooked. "Michael, I'm done. No more." But it wasn't an option. Because you see, her family, her husband, her kids wanted her to keep fighting. "You got to try the next surgery, the next drug trial. Let's get a second opinion, a third opinion, a fifth opinion." "I can't die," she said, "having them think for the rest of their lives I didn't love them enough to keep fighting. Do you think that's what they're going to think of me, Michael?" "What do you want, Mary Ann? If you could call the shots right now." "Oh, that's easy. I would disconnect all of this. I'd ask my husband to get in bed with me and look and hold me and look out that window across the room at that tree across the street. Say, 'Look at that tree. Look at how those leaves catch the sunlight. Look at how that one flutters in the breeze. Isn't it beautiful?' A God moment, she would call it. Over our months of conversation, she had told me about other God moments. For her, moments that anchored her into life. Moments in which not much really happened, in which the stuff and business of life just fell away, just leaving space and room for awareness of this moment. Being enough and being beautiful. "I'd like one more God moment," she said. I met Eselen on her first day of chemotherapy after having been newly diagnosed with ovarian cancer. She came to see me every 2 weeks over the next 6 years, though she never wanted to talk about anything of any greater consequence than what she and her husband Gene had done the previous weekend. Despite all my invitation, holding the door open to talk about all the other deeper themes and questions coming down the pike, she never took the bait. I didn't feel like I was doing much of anything, but she concluded each visit by thanking me. "Michael, I so appreciate our times to talk. I always feel so much better afterward." I went to see her in the hospital the day before she died. Her husband Gene was there, of course. They'd been married just forever. No kids, though. The Buddhists believe it's a good idea to be reflecting on the sweet memories of life before one makes their transition, that maybe it greases the wheels for the next incarnation. No matter what our beliefs are about such things, it's not a bad idea. So I asked Jean, tell me that story again about how you guys met. I love that story. He launched into the story, and Evelyn was getting a little irritated. She didn't remember. Undaunted, Jean pressed on. Sure you do, honey. Remember, we went to that football game, and we were in the back seat of that car, and no, the memory was gone forever. So Jean changed course. That's okay, honey. Maybe you're just tired. Tell you what, Michael and I will go out in the hall and we'll chat a little bit, give you a chance to rest. How about that? No, she said, I'm not tired. I want you both here. I just don't want anybody to talk. So I sat on one edge of the bed, and Jean sat on the other edge of the bed, and we each held a hand, and we just looked at each other in silence. Absolutely nothing to do. Absolutely nothing to say. Just this awareness of love in this moment being everything. For the rest of my life, that scene has imprinted my heart with an image of what truly sacred space looks like. And just maybe, what matters most is what's left when everything that we thought had mattered so much has burnt away. So what matters to me now, today, in this moment? This conversation matters. Kindness really matters. Friendship matters. Love, of course. Humor, God knows. Kinship, witnessing one another in our lives as they are. Communion matters. An old-fashioned religious word, but I love the imagery of it. Taking in and digesting our common humanity, that thing that connects us to each other and to nature and to the source of life itself. That matters. Sure, I'd like to think when I'm taking my last breath that I'll think I made a difference here and there. I relieved a little bit of suffering. Maybe I provided some encouragement. That I made a difference. That I had a blast. That I saw the world. That I loved hard. But I'm not so delusional, grandiose to think it was ever anything more than one conversation at a time. One brick at a time. We go through our lives having countless interactions, conversations with others, little teeny conversations, the checker at the supermarket, a little encouragement here, a little smile or a joke there. Those interactions might have greater impact than anything we ever do. They might be our greatest legacy. Joseph Campbell says he believes it's important to realize the eternal within, to participate with joy in the sorrows of the world. I love that. I come back to it again and again as a kind of mantra, to participate with joy in the sorrows of the world. I don't know. Maybe it just comes down to being moved by life. So be it. Thank you.
Thank you. Let us pray. And so we turn within and breathe into that beautiful message, all of those beautiful words and feelings, knowing that this moment has mattered, that the wholeness of all that is present in every moment, and it most certainly is present now. Present in nature, present in this sacred space that is not bound by a building, and present in each and every one of us as each of us. And so we breathe into that fullness, into that awareness, and feel our hearts expand as we gaze upon our lives in this moment, our lives in every moment. And we trust that that which matters is with us always, guiding us, guarding us, protecting us from distractions, moving us ever more into the place where we truly, truly embrace the truth of existence without even knowing what it is. We know that it blesses us, it sustains us, it moves us into greater and greater expression of goodness, kindness, friendship, humor, love, all of these things, joy, and so much more. And so I am grateful. I am grateful to be alive here today for this brief moment in time, this parenthesis in eternity that is each of our lives. I am grateful to have friends. I am grateful to have this beautiful spiritual center where we gather virtually every Sunday. I am grateful for all things, and I am grateful for the transformation and the depth of being that has been realized here in this gathering today. I bless the spiritual center and everyone involved with it. I bless all paths to God: churches, synagogues, temples, mosques, ashrams, fundamentalists, atheists, agnostics, blessing all beings everywhere, for all beings are a blessing, each in their unique way. Each being matters. And with a heart that is so filled with gratitude and so filled with loving kindness, I say thank you, Spirit, thank you, love, thank you, mystery. And I release these words to the divine, and together we say, and so it is. Namaste.
Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Let your heart be light. From now on, our troubles will be out of sight. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Make the Yuletide gay. From now on, our troubles will be miles away. Here we are as in olden days, happy golden days of yore. Faithful friends who are dear to us, they'll be near to us once more. Through the years we all will be together, if the fates allow. Hang a shining star upon the highest bough, and have yourself a merry little Christmas now. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Let your heart be light. From now on, our troubles will be out of sight. Have yourself that merry little Christmas. Make the Yuletide gay. From now on, our troubles will be miles away. Here we are as in olden days, happy golden days of yore. Faithful friends who are dear to us, they'll be near to us once more.
Okay, some quick announcements for you. Christmas Eve service is coming up, and it's going to be on Zoom this time so that we can gather as a community. It's on our website. The Zoom details are on our website under special events, and that is, of course, on Thursday, December 24th at 7 p.m. There's skits, there's choir, there's pictures of animals, and there's friends and family and all kinds of beautiful things. The third Wednesday's Creative Arts Meditation is a winter solstice ceremony and meditation, and that's facilitated by Lita Martin and Christine Voth. And if you can check our website again, www.VenturaCSL.org, the information for that is on there as well under meditation. On the 21st, we're having a wonderful concert that is facilitated by Brock Travis with a bunch of special guests, and that is live streamed on Monday, December 21st at 6:30, and all of the donations are benefiting our spiritual center. The information for that is on the website on the special events page. And then on New Year's Eve, we're having a service that we're calling So Long Farewell to 2020. And that's facilitated by Linda Drevenstedt, and that's also on our website and on the special events page. A new class starting on January 5th. It's called A Mind at Home with Itself. It's Patrick Harbula teaching about the work of Byron Katie. Information for that on the website. And after the service, we have 1 Minute Miracles, which is a prayer, a brief but powerful prayer with one of our practitioners. And if you go to the comment section on the virtual live stream, you can click on that and you will be connected with a practitioner who will pray with you. So I think that's all of the announcements. Thank you again so much for joining us, and let's go ahead and we'll pray. All right, so turning within, we just celebrate this time together, this sacred time of light and darkness, this sacred time of waiting and being, and trusting and knowing that in the absolute, in absolute reality, in love, in God, all is well. And so we center ourselves into that well-being and allow it to bless us and sustain us. No matter what the appearances look like, there is a beautiful, powerful presence, an enduring presence that is stretched in smiling repose that lives within us and lives around us. And we live from that presence every day and every moment. Even when we can't find it, we know that it is there and it is living through us. And so with heart and with gratitude and with love, I simply surrender this time and know that we go forth from it with grace and gratitude and hope. I breathe in deeply and I exhale, releasing these words to the mystery, and together we say, and so it is. Namaste.